All righty. Okay, welcome to 1000 Ways to Be a Champion for Children, Past, Present, and Future. The purpose of this program is to raise awareness about adverse childhood experiences and also to, I'm just going to change this view here. This looks a little goofy, doesn't it? There, I think that's a little better. So raise awareness of adverse childhood experiences. And then the relationship between adverse health effects, adverse life effects of untreated adverse childhood experiences. And so for people past who have suffered those, you're an adult and you had this trauma when you were a child, then encourage you to get the care support to readdress that. There's a very, very strong potential that when you experience that trauma, you made some decisions about you, like I am not worthy. I wouldn't get hurt. I wouldn't get hit. These things wouldn't happen if I was better. So the conclusion is somehow I am not enough. And that's not true. And so if you go back to these instances in which you felt unsafe and you address them, you may very well find that there are circumstances where you had an inattentive, maybe a parent or guardian who really just did not know how to care for you. Parenting is challenging for the best of us. And if you're a single parent and then you have income challenges and food insecurity challenges and employment and relationship problems, relationship challenge, well, that gets way tougher. And perhaps parents are not perfect beings. I know I was not a perfect parent to my lovely daughter, Caitlin Nicole Friesen. So, past, if you experienced trauma as a child, as an adult now, I encourage you to address that, to try and resolve that, take the impact from there and allow you to move forward to a better version of yourself. Present, we want to raise awareness about how prevalent violence and adverse childhood experiences are in our community. And what do we do to stem that tide? What do we do to stop that? How do we protect people from violence? And I think a lot of that is going to be based on us, you and I, supporting the professional services that are out there to extend our offer of help, of support, if we see somebody who we think is experiencing violence or using violence, that we feel comfortable enough that we could go forward and say, gee, Mary, it appears that you're experiencing some violence in your life. I don't want to intrude where I'm not welcome. But if in fact you are not feeling safe and I can assist you in feeling safe, I'd like to do that. And then that person, I have access to the resources. There's a system navigator training coming up very, very soon here. And this system navigator training is basically how you understand the resources that are available, so that if I'm assisting somebody and it's a violent situation, I know these are the folks that I would contact. These are the resources that I could go to. And then future, we get this right. We end violence. Adverse childhood experiences are gone. Adverse childhood experiences are gone. Health is on the increase. Productivity is on the increase. Joy is on the increase. Peace is on the increase. Love is on the increase. Whoo! And what's going down? Addiction is going down. Illness is going down. That's where we could go. So it's just basically end in violence. Somebody out there smarter than me knows how to do that right now. I have a guest tonight. After that little 5-minute intro, I have a guest, and I do not know where he is. I thought he was going to be here by now. He's a lovely man. We had a nice chat at Youth One. Let me just. Do I have a phone number for him? But I like talk to him today. All right. If he shows up, he's got the link. So when he shows up, not if, when, then we'll have a chat then. Okay. I'll send him a note. All right. Good. Well, we'll see if he gets back to me. So on a different vein, beyond 1,000 Ways to Be a Champion for Children, tomorrow I am having a beautiful little discussion with mayoral candidates for the city of Lethbridge. Tomorrow will be the first of a series called Meet Your Mayor, Lethbridge. And Stephen Mogden will be my guest. We're going to do it live at the Jess TV studio, the Jess FM studio. And we're going to have a nice chat about, his vision for Lethbridge and why he is the right man for the job, or the right person for the job. Maybe that's let's make it a gender neutral. We have a right person for the job. So that's kind of the conversation we're going to have. Oh, here's Noah. Hey, Noah. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. All right.
I'm so sorry I'm late. My computer died and I could not find a charger in this entire building. But
all right. No worries. I'm glad you're here. Doesn't matter that you're late. I'm very glad that you're with us here now. I was just actually saying, Noah, when you were while we were waiting for you to arrive, I was saying that tomorrow I'm starting a series called Meet Your Mayor, Lethbridge. And I'm going to have a chat with Stephen Mogden about his dreams, aspirations for Lethbridge as mayor, if he was to become mayor.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So it's tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and it'll be every Thursday at 11 o'clock for the next 6 weeks. So we'll go through, meet with each of the mayor candidates and just have that kind of discussion. So I'm looking forward to that. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I kind of introduced the show about, increasing awareness about adverse childhood experiences, about encouraging adult survivors of childhood trauma to address, to kind of revisit that, because there's a good potential.
Yeah.
They have some shame, blame associated with that. And we want them to address it and say, hey, 5-year-old Alan or 7-year-old Noah, we did not deserve that. What happened to us? There was nothing wrong with us. We were just sweet little boys trying to be good kids, right? So anyways.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Yes. So now we get to your role, Noah. Noah, tell us about you, how you and the other folks at Youth One are champions for children. Tell us that.
Yeah. So, you pretty well hit it right on the head there, right? Youth One is a youth center here in Lethbridge on the north side, and it's really born out of this idea that no youth should go through life alone. And when we started Youth One, we knew that philosophically, we knew that youth needed young adults in their lives. But then through the research and as we developed Youth One, we realized that the main reason those things are beneficial is in combat against adverse childhood experiences, and the way that having caring adults can reverse those negative effects of adverse childhood experiences that we see show up. And so our programs are really based around having youth coming into our building completely free, so that they can come in and there's no burdens for them, or no barriers, I should say, to them coming in, so that we can get them connected with the community here. So we really, really like a close ratio. So it's ideally it's 1 leader for every 5 youth, because we really, really want every single youth who comes through our doors to feel a strong connection with a leader. And so we don't do that through very structured mentorship things like, okay, you're going to meet, like a boy or big brothers, big sisters, which, I mean, incredible work that they're doing. We do it more in like, we just have a drop-in. You get to know your leaders and you see them every
Kind of
week
more
you come in.
informal, organic connections that happen as opposed to kind
Exactly.
of a matching kind of a process, eh?
Exactly. And so, it might, for you, your connection with a youth might be that you're playing ping pong with them for 3 hours a week, or you're playing NHL on the Xbox with them for 3 hours a week. You never know what it might be. Or you're just sitting around, just chatting on the couch and just chatting about life, school, whatever it might be. But those are the connections that we're building with youth because we see it as such a crucially important thing.
Very important, man. What you're doing is super valuable work to those kids who are otherwise in a relationship deficit, right? There's nobody waiting for them to come home and say, hey, Timmy, hey, Sarah, how was your day? Can I get you, milk and a cookie? And, what, none of that, right? So if that's not happening, and that's no shame, no blame. Like the reality is there's people that are working 18 hours a day, right?
Exactly, right. To provide for their kids. But then
exactly.
What that time, yeah.
Yeah. Huge. So for them to have a caring adult that wants to spend time with them and hang out with them, I mean, that one caring adult is somebody who erases a lot of the pain in that child's life, right? And helps to protect them from even further pain that they might experience, or help them, that they feel worthy to look for solutions that can end the pain they're experiencing, the suffering they're experiencing, right? So
100%. Yeah, I mean, even speaking into that, like of youth going home and not having their parents there because they're working or doing things to provide for them in most cases. That was like another huge reason why we started Youth One was, Jordan, one of our founders, he used to do private security for Zellers, Canadian Tire, those kind of big box stores. And he realized that very consistently 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon was their prime time for shoplifting. And it was primarily teenage boys because they had nothing else to do. And so they got out of school and they're like, it was a thrilling adrenaline seek. And so that really got him churning. Is like, okay, so why are they doing this? Because they're not doing it to steal things, because they would steal the stupidest things, right? They weren't doing it to steal. They were doing it for the rush. And so that really started to form in him, let's provide them a place to go. Because if they have a place to go, if they have somewhere to come and hang out, then they're not going to be out there stealing. And then,
you know what? Let me just interject one quick question. So they did it for the rush. I understand that. Would it also be possible that they were doing it for the attention, even if it's negative attention, even if it's punitive attention, 100%. But just to have connection with another human being, kind of a thing?
I'm sure that is a large part of it, right? As we say that all the time, right? Youth lash out so that they can get attention, right? And because for a lot of them, sadly, that's the only time that they get one-on-one attention, whether it be at school, at home, anywhere. The only time that they get focused attention is when they misbehave or lash out, right? We see that a lot at school. I think would be a huge area. It's basically taught to them, if they want attention from their teacher, then they need to misbehave.
Yeah, this is how you get seen. If you have no other ways to learn it, right? This is how you get seen. If you can't do it with academic achievement or on the sports field or those kind of things, right? So
exactly. So a lot of Youth One early days when the youth shows up is almost unteaching that and teaching them that, hey, we'll give you attention no matter what. And so we would prefer, if you just behave, because we're going to care about you anyway. And so there's usually like a couple month period, especially with the younger middle school youth. We see youth from 11 to 18. And I feel like, especially with those younger youth, it's kind of teaching them that, hey, we will still be here. We'll still care for you, even if you're not misbehaving. So don't. Yeah. When
you and I chatted 3 weeks ago or whenever it was, we were talking about the man box. Remember the concept of the man box, and how you and I have had some social conditioning, mine even more, what would you call it? More negative than yours, probably just because of the function of time, right? My parenting happened 30 years before yours. So your parents were a little bit more enlightened than mine were, kind of a thing, or had a the social conditioning relaxed enough to allow other things into it. I think for you than me, kind of a thing.
Probably,
My
I'm
dad
sure.
would have had totally like off the wall. Women are your property. Take what you want. That's how my grandfather would have talked to my father, probably. Like that's
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So the man box is something that it still exists, and it's trapping us in less than being a full human being, because we can't have emotions that our sisters have. Well, that doesn't make any sense. We can't cry. Well, what we got the tear ducts for, right? We got them for a reason, right?
So 100%.
Yeah. So with what you and I were chatting about is how do we share with youth, with especially younger boys, I guess probably 8, 10, I don't know, something like that plus. How do you share what you've been conditioned as, just to examine it? And we're not saying here's right or wrong, here's wrong. It's just like, this is what you've been taught. Does it make sense? When you think about, does it make sense that your friend Sean, who looks a little bit effeminate and may be a gay person, that he's somehow less than a human? Does that make sense? Like, no, like, how's, if he has a difference that way, how does it in any way make him less than you? Right. So I think that's I think a valuable thing that we can do. So I don't know how we're going to do that, Noah, but here's what I figure it this way. I've told you about it. Now I'm done. You just look after the details. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least I get the easy part,
Yeah. I declare Lethbridge to be violence free. Noah, take care of the details. Would you, buddy?
Okay. I mean, yeah, sure. Give me a week or two and I'll figure it out for you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, yes. I mean, I think you're dead on, right? Like, how do we teach, especially, you're talking younger boys, that it's okay to experience these things and stuff like that. And I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit too, is like, for these younger boys, for myself, talking from my own experience, I really struggled kind of that like 13 to 15, maybe a little even 16, of not really understanding, because I had a lot of emotions. I really felt things very, very intensely, and kind of being like, okay, so I feel things, I cry a lot, I feel things really intensely, I am into feminine things. Growing up very conservative, I was like, so that only leaves me with the option that I have to be gay, right? It was really interesting. And so I didn't really have any other options. Either I was into really jacked up trucks, treated girls like shit, and was, just like sexually aggressive, really.
That's how you stayed in the man box, right? That's how you proved to your peers that you're a man, right?
Exactly. Or then I had to be gay. I couldn't be somewhere in the middle, right? And so I think that's something that we've done to a lot of boys is, you don't have room to just explore who you are. You have to put a label on it at such a young age, and then you need to commit to it. And I think that is really one of the biggest harms, is the need to put a label on it, right? Like, obviously, if you're gay, it's okay to be gay, but when you're 12, 13, you don't need to put a label on, oh, I'm gay because I feel things, right?
No. Right.
And so you let those, as your sexual desires come up and grow and mature, then you can, I think more accurately make a claim like that. But a 12-year-old boy doesn't know.
No.
Right.
Well,
and so
you and I were chatting about, like, the sex education I got was like worse than yours, but yours wasn't very good either, right? Because my parents did not talk anything about sex. That was like taboo, right? One time I was on the swinging along, my dog Duke beside me on the swing, and I had the thought, hey, Mom, why do girls wear bras? And the next thing I remember, I was picking myself off the ground because I had a mouthful of dirt, because she just backhanded me when I asked her that question. And I'm like, oh man, okay, I guess we don't talk about that anymore, right? So So couldn't talk about it with parents. School system at that time had nothing on sex education, relationships, that kind of a thing. So who you learn from? 12-year-old horny boys that watched, like, read a porn book, or you wouldn't saw a video, because this is VHS days. Like, this is old school, right? So, but that's kind of who you learn from. And the stuff, whoever writes porn, that's all like bizarrely negative, perverted, like, not like, I'm in terms of, why does it have to have any dominance, power, violence associated with it? None of those things are anything about the enjoyment sexually of a person, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, and that's huge, right? And so I definitely like you said, like, it's definitely progressed since when I was growing up. It was a lot different, but it was still not something that was talked about very often. And so for me, we did have, we had internet porn by the time I was 12 years old. So that was where we all learned what sex was, how it worked, how it was supposed to be. And so it's like, us 12-year-old boys meet at school and compare notes, being like, okay, so this is what we're learning. And then now as an adult, as a married adult, I'm like, okay, I need to completely relearn everything here, because this is not working.
Yes.
And this is definitely, like, not really enjoyable for either party involved.
No. And like, when you were saying, why do we need the labels? We don't need the labels, right? If Eric likes trucks and designing dresses and whatever, that's Eric. Hey, Eric, cool. Be you, Eric. Whatever. That's totally fine, right? Be who he is, who his authentic self is, right? Why do we need to label him? And his sexual appetites, why would that matter to me in any way? Like, there's
exactly
none of my business.
I dream of a day where having to come out is gone, where it just whatever, right? Like, it just, because obviously it's such a big important part of our culture now, because it has to be, because it's the default that you're this way, and so you have to make a huge step to be this thing. But it's like, what if it was just existed? What if you just dated people and you just met people and it didn't matter? I would, that's my dream, is to be in a society where that's the case.
Yes. So you know what? I think we chatted about this as well, but I'll bring it up in, because I think it's relative. When we talked about Dr. Gabor Mate, didn't we? I think
so. Yeah.
Anyways, I did a thing with him. I study this topic a lot, about 20 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm getting fairly well versed in it. And Dr. Gabor Mate, he talks about the two competing needs we have: the need for attachment and the need for authenticity. So now, in a perfect world, little Timmy or little Sally would come into the world, and those parents would be available to, hold, nurture, provide experiences for that little Timmy, little Sarah, and little Timmy, little Sarah would become whoever they become, like whatever their unique skill set that they have, whatever aptitudes they have, whatever appetites they have, whatever they have, that they would just be allowed to express that. And then that would be their authenticity. And then their authenticity wouldn't have any way breached their attachment, right? Because their parents would still love them as this little person developed into this amazing big person, right?
Yeah.
So what happens though, normally, right? We have this need for attachment, and that trumps our need for authenticity. So we can't really express who we are. Then we lose this attachment, right? So if I wanted to be a dress designer and my dad wanted me to run backhoes, well, I would breach my potential attachment with him if I expressed that I want to be the dress designer person, right? So I don't do that. I suppress that to maintain the attachment, right? Okay. Which I think is a fascinating insight.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's very clear, right? Because, like, you kind of have these two levels and you want them to be balanced, but sometimes one or the other goes. And yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. So. And, the more you think about it, geez, the more like all of the things you learned that were even prejudiced, where'd you learn that? That you learned that from interactions your parents had, and they learned it from their parents. And fundamentally, we come back to guys that look like me 1,000 years ago, kind of making it a law that unless you look like me, you weren't really a human, right? So everybody else could be exploited, raped, beat, traded like everybody else, because they were non-human, could be treated like an animal or less than an animal, right? That's bizarre. But that's the reality of what happened in the past. So how do we go forward now? Now with, we're all humans, we all have value, right? We're all part of this human family, right? So how do we get all of us, all our brothers and sisters to that same, level of life satisfaction? So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big task. I think that having places, I kind of, as you're talking about that, like especially the attachment versus authenticity, I think that that's another thing that we see at Youth One quite a bit is
Sure.
Youth coming in, showing and kind of morphing themselves into kind of what they assume you have to be like to come to Youth One.
Right.
And then over time, you kind of see those authenticity things go up because they're like, oh, I can be who I want to be. I can be me, and it's not going to affect the attachment that I have. And slowly and slowly and slowly, they can realize, oh, people will actually accept me for who I am, right? Mm-hmm. People will actually, and I think too, on another note, I think that is one of the very few benefits of the social media age that we're in, the internet age that we're in, because people can find people like them.
Yes.
If you are into a really weird niche of things, like whether it be anime, I know that's not actually that weird, but anime or anything, you might be into some really weird things that I just don't understand, right? You can find people who are also into those things.
Yes.
Right? And so then
what? I'm not sure, Noah, weird is even the right way to describe it. Like how, is it weird or is it less than popular or is it not, you know what I'm saying? Weird kind of has a negative connotation to it, right? Where it's a more of a niche, right? It's something unusual. Every day I go here and I sing a cappella for like an hour every day. So that's a niche thing, right? That's like, that's nobody does this, right? And so it's like I enjoy it, and I know it has huge value for me, and I know at least one person watches some of it, and they've expressed, hey, that was thank you, thanks for singing. It was put a smile on my face. So, okay, cool. So that's excellent. But for me, the physical well-being and the emotional well-being it brings me is amazing, man. I've been dropping weight. I've been toning up. My thoughts are coming easier. It's just I've been feeling really, really good singing.
See, and I think again, like that's the beauty of the internet, right?
Yes, agreed.
You have a place that you can do that, right? And you're right. I think weird definitely does have a negative connotation. And so, it's like these niches of things that aren't mainstream, right? Yes. Things that, not everyone does them, but it doesn't make it bad, right? It's like you have somewhere that you can actually enjoy these things with people.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? This makes me think of manufactured versus artisanal. Artisanal is like crafted. It's like, it's uniquely blended. It's like, I think we should start substituting a different word for weird. We'll come up with it, Noah. You and I'll come up with it, and then we'll do a social media campaign to get it adopted.
Oh, I think that'd be a great idea. No, because you're definitely right. Like, because you have that manufactured. This is what everyone does. This is how you're supposed to be, and then you have the outliers, the artisanal people who, no, I'm not. I don't want to be part of that. Boring life, really.
Hey, you know what? Outliers might be the thing instead of weird, right? Hey, you have the outlier activities, you have the outlier interests, that kind of a thing. That's totally fine. Here's the bell curve. You're out here or you're out here. That's not wrong. That's just different. This is where you choose to be. Good on you. We need people out there.
Yeah, I like that actually. I like like outliers. It's like it kind of sounds cool. It's like, I always think of Malcolm Gladwell whenever I think outliers, but it's like, it's like, well, that's kind of cool.
That sounds awesome. Okay. That's progress right there, Noah. Me
Yeah,
and you, we're getting the terminology down that we're going to share.
yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Cool. Something else I was going to tell you. What was it? We talked to Gabor Mate. Oh, well, hey, why don't you take this time to announce programs? Are you still all online, or are you live programs now, in-person programs?
Oh man, so we're officially coming back, assuming nothing changes. Obviously, it's a little up in the air right now with what might be going on COVID wise. Right now, as of today, we're back in-person programs on September 20th. We're thrilled. So last year we were kind of a combination of online and like small groups. And so we're really excited to be coming back for the first time since March of 2020 with drop-in programs where youth can, yeah, I know, exactly. It feels, it's so exciting. And so it really is that kind of like I talked about early on, there's no barriers to come, right? With the small groups, you have to pre-sign up, you have to be part of the group, you have to message the leaders that you're coming. And those are just so many barriers that we don't want for youth. So drop-in is coming back September 20th. You can come in when they want, 3 to 6 o'clock every day. We have Mondays and Tuesdays is high school from 3 to 6, and Wednesdays and Thursdays is middle school. We used to do 3 to 5, and we've actually expanded this year to 6 o'clock in hopes to kind of make it a little bit more approachable for all of the schools in Lethbridge. We used to not really be super accessible. If you lived on the west side, went to school on the west side, and you got out at 3 o'clock, you didn't want to come to the west side or to the north side and then only be here for an hour. So we've kind of expanded it so that, everyone will likely have at least 2 hours that they could be here.
Yeah.
And so that's really, really exciting. Right now we're heavy into like recruiting for volunteers. Like I said, we really like having a really large number of volunteers here to make those connections happen. So ideally we have about 10 people here per day, volunteer wise. And so we're looking hopefully to bring on 20 more people throughout the week.
Wow.
So that we can have that number of about 10 at each group.
And you're looking for people who are like in 18 to 25 age group, 18 to 30 age group?
18 to 80, 85.
80, 85. Come on. You get people that old in there. Are the kids relate to them?
It's shocking actually. So we've had one guy comes to mind specifically. He's been with us since the beginning. I don't think he's quite 80. I think he's like 78 or something like that. Okay. But it's shocking actually to see, because especially with our youth and youth in general, they're so used to old people hating them. And so for them to have an old person, no offense to Nick, to have someone who's older coming in and genuinely just caring about them is wild. It blows their mind.
Noah, I got an offer for you right now if you're interested. Okay. I believe, have you ever heard of the Polyvagal Nerf?
No.
Do you want to hear about it?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right. Polyvagal nerve is the nerve that connects from your brainstem down to your pelvic floor. Okay. So it's basically your connection to your brain. It's how your body speaks to your brain, how they relate, right? Okay. And that polyvagal nerve can operate 3 ways. Basically can operate in a dissociative response. And think now, the cheetah has the gazelle in its jaws, right? The gazelle is just hanging there, right? The cheetah drops the gazelle because he has to fend off some other competitors. The gazelle jumps up and bolts, right? That's a dissociative response. We have that response. We can have that same response, right? And that's why there's lots of times people have shame or blame because they didn't lash out, yell out, scream out, that kind of a thing, but they were having a dissociative response. That's their brain's way of protecting them in insurmountable odds. They can't win in this fight. So, they're just a schwack of painkillers, relax, minimize the pain. That's kind of the strategy. Then there's the dorsal ventral response. The dorsal ventral response is basically where you are on alert. You're looking around for the threats. What's going to hit me? What's going to hurt me? What's the bad thing that's going to happen next? So in that dorsal ventral response, all of your energy, all of otherwise what would be healing your body is on alert and just being ready for the attack kind of a thing, right? Then there's the ventral vagus response. Okay, check this out. You've been to, like, when you're hanging out with your friends and you're feeling really relaxed and you're laughing and joking and the words are coming quick and everybody's smiling and the laughter comes easy. You've been in that situation.
Oh,
yeah. That was ventral vagus. You were in ventral vagus. Okay. And so in ventral vagus, you are in a very relaxed state. It is when you are feeling safe. You're not worried. You don't have alerts. You don't have any threats that concern you in any way. So what your body does is go about healing. Whatever needs to be fixed, whatever needs to be adjusted, whatever levels have to be tweaked in your body for it to run perfect, it goes through and does that when you're in ventral vagus. Activates your neocortex, the highest functioning part of your brain, right? The part where you are connected to everything and everybody, where love and peace and joy and hope and gratitude all come to you so easily, right? So this is ventral vagus. Now, you can activate ventral vagus. You can choose to have that be there. And one of the ways, there's a number of ways, but one of the ways is singing. Singing works like a hot damn. So if you wanted to, for your youth, share that little thing about ventral vagus and then singing, just encouraging them to sing, I'm your guy.
Interesting.
So think about it. It's just, okay. So, because I know for me, when I'm singing, now I put it together after the fact. Like I was doing it, having this amazing experience, but it didn't click for me. Then I learned this polyvagal theory and saw this and said, oh, ventral vagus. I've been doing that for like 6 months now. Okay, I get this now, right? So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
So I guess that's probably part of the reason. Sorry, this is part of the reason, like churches and like religious organizations have such synchrony is because they're activating this through shared singing together.
Exactly. Definitely. No question. And it's not, I'm stressing singing just because here's my thing. I know singing for me is so amazingly healing and joyful for me to do. Right. And it's not a matter. You don't have to be good. I'm not suggesting I'm good, but basically the act of singing, you have the same benefits, whether you're good or bad, it makes no difference. And who's to say what good or bad is? Let's go back to bad might be called weird, but if your music is more outlier in nature, as mine is more outlier in nature, then others might not accept it. And that's okay. You do it for you and the benefits it brings to you.
I love that.
Yes. So, and everybody can sing. Everybody's got a voice, can sing. You just got to pick a song that works. And, you sing it a bunch of time. It changes over time. Your voice gets stronger as you do it. Like no big surprise, right? If you can get better biceps by doing curls, you can get a stronger voice by using it more, right? You don't want to overuse it, but mine seems to have no limits. Man, I go when we had the Rotary Rib Fest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours. I'm standing out and cars were passing by and say, hey, you want to win $10,000 and put $10,000 back into your community through Rotary? And then we'd have a conversation. So I yelled that out, 800 times. And then when I came home, I sang for a half hour yet. So
wow.
Woo, my voice is like rock solid like a rock, like Bob Seger would say.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing.
Anyways, that is my offer to you. I'm thinking that from my perspective, is if this is some kind of time, talent, interest that I have, and I can make a difference in other people's lives and enjoy it while I'm doing it, man, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's an amazing thing. So what I actually put out also to the Southern Alberta Ethnic Association to have a Lethbridge Original Voices experience. in which newcomers to Canada will join me on my little singing show. Well, no, will join me on that show. That's going to be specifically for that purpose. And they'll share a little bit of the lives of their home country. And then they'll sing in their native tongue and tell us about the song they sang.
Oh,
that's going to be beautiful. If there's people there, it's going to be scary. No, they've never seen this before. So what do they know, right? Whether to trust it or not. But Jackie French is the executive director there. So I'm hoping and she's a very talented singer. I don't know if you know that, but she is.
No,
so
I didn't.
yeah. So then my thought is she can kick it off on behalf of her group. And then we get other families involved and maybe some dads and daughters singing or, whatever. That'd be a hoot. So,
that'd be amazing. Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man, that's
yes.
really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope it happens. I hope it happens. So
yeah. Oh, that'd be incredible. That's fascinating too, right? Like just how singing can bring people together. I think like concerts and stuff too, right? You go into a concert and after there's just a buzz, there's an energy, right?
Yes.
And that sense of kind of connectedness.
Yes.
Right. So
yes. And now, back thinking of concerts and thinking of how COVID maybe has changed the future of concerts. In one respect, you can look at it as maybe it's an opportunity for you and I to instead do as opposed to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you go and you like this drummer, and you pay $200 every, 6 months to go see him drum. How about you just buy some skins and start drumming and see how good you can get. If you love drumming, like you do it, right? You have that experience, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Kind of becoming part of it too and stuff.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking, if you think of all of the professional sports and the concerts and that kind of thing, they're not going to draw the crowds they ever used to, right? And so a lot, I can't see how it's either going to get very, very elitist, or it's going to be that basically performers just can't, it doesn't make sense for them to do it. There's not enough revenue for them to do it. But you and I can just do it just for the love of doing it. You and your neighbor who plays the banjo could go and sing some songs just because it's so enjoyable to sing some songs.
Yeah. Huh. I love that. That's so cool. Huh. That's sweet. I love that.
Noah, I've talked way so much this time. I apologize for getting a little yucky there. Do you have other things to share that I haven't given you the opportunity to express?
I don't think so. I've been loving the dialogue. I could talk. I think I could talk about ACEs, like adverse childhood experiences, and all that. I could talk about that all day. I think it's been really cool. Meeting you, talking about about that with you, and just seeing the shared desire for young people and people who grew up with those experiences, and seeing them come out of it stronger and healthier and better.
Yes. And to shed from the shame and the blame. There's it doesn't help at all. And it's not at all, there's no value in it. And it makes no sense to have any shame or blame associated with it, whatever happened in your childhood. You might've been hell on wheels, but that's how you were as a child. It didn't mean you should have got beaten or slapped or it shouldn't have happened. So
yeah, exactly. Right. It doesn't, no matter how you were, doesn't mean that you deserve to experience those things, right? And so I think that, it's really cool, and I think that this show that you're doing is so crucially important because it's something that's not talked about nearly enough. I did a survey or something with some university students last year, and they were just talking about how they found that in Lethbridge, barely anybody really knows ACEs at all. They don't really know. If you bring it up, very few professionals know what they're talking about. And it's like, man, this is crucial stuff. Like, this is really, if you look at ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, it would account for most of the problems that we're seeing in Lethbridge that everyone wants to address or ignore. Most of it could be solved with an adequate understanding of adverse childhood experiences.
Yep. Yep.
And so I think that what you're doing here is incredibly important, because we need to shift our focus as to how do we address this, not just with young people, right? Youth One, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters, they're doing a great job reaching the young people, and I think really doing a great job of stopping it from progressing in the same level. But you just go downtown and you will see examples of people who are experiencing these things. And how do we help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we help people who can't work because they're so crippled by the experiences that they had as children that they can't work, or the people who the only option is drugs because they can't cope.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Right. And I think part of that is recognizing them as people, recognizing them at the same human value that we all are. Right. And just their story, if you took the time to listen to it, if I take the time to listen to it, it may very well provide a solution or a tool or a way to help them move forward. Right. You might know something or somebody that you can say, hey, yeah, you've had a shit run here, buddy, and I'm sorry for that. I think I might know somebody that could do this for you, whatever that is, give you a ride to here because this is something you need, right? Transportation is a big problem, right? You're talking about, you got kids on the west side. Well, coming to the north side is not an easy task for them, right?
No, it's like an hour plus bus ride, right?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
No, it's tough. And so, yeah, I think that there's like so many small things like that, if we can start chipping away at them, we're going to see huge changes in young people's lives and the makeup of the country or the city.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And whatever we can learn here, we export out to whoever can, and we try and borrow whatever they have that's a better solution, and we put it in place. Here's what I'm coming up as the best possible solution right now, Noah. You correct me if you think I'm off base here. The professional services that are out there, they're doing the best they can with what they have and the time that they have to invest, and how much trauma they can take in, right? I mean, the stories they have to hear, there's compassion fatigue is a real thing for sure, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So how about you, 10,000 other Lethbridgians who just basically are in a position where we are enough. We have enough. We are enough. We want to be able to contribute. We want to be able to, because we have enough. We want everybody to have what we have. We want everybody to have enough health and enough love and enough food and enough money and enough of enough health. I said health twice, but it's worth it. So if they have that, and then we want to extend to people that are not in that position right now. And maybe that's just an awareness of violence, awareness of the signs of violence. And maybe it's just like this, that you and I have a little bit of instruction. We say, Mary, I think that you might be in an uncomfortable or unsafe situation, that you might be experiencing some violence. I don't want to intrude in your life, but if in fact you're unsafe right now and I can assist you, I offer my help. And if Mary says, yes, please, then I, as a system navigator, as somebody who understands the resources that are available out there, can say, Mary, I know this person here I know Noah at Youth One. Noah at Youth One will help you. Here's his number. And then that's how kind of, and I'm using you as an example, but that's the key person in that agency that you can kind of do a soft handoff to say, this person needs some help. You're the right person to help. I'm connecting you to, right? And so what are the civilians, just the caring folks do? They are just like a comfortable first contact for somebody. We took this thing, we had it through Rotary, and it's called, come on, what's it called, Noah? Real talk. Yes. To recognize, empathize, act, and listen. And that's the whole program. You be able to recognize, you empathize, you ask to be able to help, you listen and offer your assistance. And that doesn't mean you put yourself in harm's way. That doesn't mean you're doing a role that a police officer would play, you're not doing that. You're basically just there to to offer resources to say, these people should be able to assist you, right? So I think that's a way that we could, and put a face to it, right? Like, that no shame, no blame. Let's get this person the care they need so they can be enough and have enough to express their true life as to who they came to this world with, the package of talents and abilities and capacities and interests that they came into this world with.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Some sort of like, just bringing it together, right? So you meet somebody just randomly, and you know who to suggest them to, who to recommend them to,
right?
Even, how incredible would that be if civilians on the street knew where to suggest people to? Mm-hmm. As somebody who's in the system, who knows some things I don't even know. Sometimes it's like someone comes to me with like a unique problem. I'm like, probably Lethbridge Family Services. I don't know. And so it's like, how do we systemize that better so that every single person, no one's falling through the cracks?
Yeah.
Every single person is getting the help that they need.
Yes.
Right. Because it's so incredibly hard to ask for help. And it's awful when you ask for help and then the person you're asking doesn't know.
Exactly.
It's heartbreaking.
And in that real talk, one of the things that Carolyn, the facilitator for it, said is that 80% of the time it was an informal contact they reached out to. And if that informal contact, because they felt uncomfortable, let's say, said, you must be exaggerating, or, oh, he seems like a good man, he wouldn't do that to you, or in any way dismisses, this person very vulnerably sharing, something that she's concerned in her life, right? Mm-hmm. Then they shut down. The person who's experiencing that violence just, okay, I'm not doing that again. Like, however, if it's like, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I want to help, and like, belief is your first job. If somebody tells you that, they're telling you because it's true, right? There might be a 0.0001 exception to that, but almost all the time it's going to be true, and you should, and I want to be able to accept it as such. This is what somebody tells me. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's not our job to decide if it's true or not, right? Like you said, we're not playing the job of other people, right? Our job is to believe that what people are telling us is true, get them the help they need because this is the experience that they're having. If later on it turns out that it's not true, what? Oh, well.
Yes.
We didn't lose anything.
Nope.
Right? It'd be way worse if we assumed all the time that they were lying and every person that talked to us was lying, right?
Yes.
It's not our job.
So mention about how hard it is to ask for help. How hard is it to ask for help if you are trapped in the man box?
Oh,
it's possible.
Incredibly hard. Yes.
Yes. So what is the rate of suicide for young men?
Oh, it's high, isn't it?
Huge.
It's very high. Yeah.
Number one cause of death for young men, suicide.
Yeah.
And that's
because you don't have anywhere to go. You don't have anyone to ask for help.
No. And if you're outside, if you're natural, you came into this world with a uniqueness that was not in the man box, well, then you want to be your authentic self, but you don't believe you can, because it's kind of, you have this authenticity tied to the man box as well as an authenticity tied to parents, right? You can't break free from that, right? And if you could, then all of the anxiety and suffering would basically go away, right? You wouldn't be shameful that whatever your interest is, that, right, that would go away. Call to men, they have they look at it as, we want to make an inclusive society for the ones that are on the margins of the margins. So they said that black transvestite female, I'm pretty sure that's right, generally die by age 32. So, if you could make a society that was inclusive enough that person could be allowed to express themselves, they're not doing anybody else any harm. If they're expressing their ability to express themselves, better not be where it's doing anybody harm, that it's only for their, how they express themselves and their creative nature and their skills and talents that they have. Right. So, yeah. So how do you do it? That's that inclusive, right? Where you said, I have a dream that when there is no such thing as coming out as gay, because people say, oh, well, great. good for you. Or, it would be no big deal, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like,
yeah.
It'd be like, I bought a lottery ticket. Oh, well, hope it works out for you. So
yeah, exactly. Right. How do we get there? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think,
I think a lot of it is, I think a lot of it is that man box and the heteronormative constraints that it's inherent in that system. So how are we, you and I, and who are we going to recruit to address the man box, to explain about the man box, to share about the man box? How are we going to do that, Noah?
I think having conversations with people as often as possible is the first place to start. Just talking about it and being like, this is something that we're seeing is a problem, and bringing it up, and then bringing it up more, and then bringing it up some more, and then just continuing to bring it up to people. I think it is huge, because the more I think that it just talked about, the more that things are going to change.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree. We got to keep having these conversations. No question.
Yeah.
So. But you know what? We're almost an hour, my friend. We should probably wrap this up here today.
Okay.
That was fun. Woo.
Yeah. Oh man. Great time.
Noah, I really appreciate you and the work that you do, and the work that Youth1 does, the programs they offer, and, great agency, and you're doing very, very meaningful work. And I thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you a few weeks ago and to be on the show. It's so cool to see things happening and to be part of some of the stuff that's happening here in Lethbridge, and yeah, it's just encouraging to see it. So.
Well, before I die, you and I will make a difference in this community. Okay. Oh, you tell 100%. Me how I can support you to make that happen. All right.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we're making a difference already, Alan. So.
Okay. Well, let's keep it rolling, buddy.
Yeah. Sounds fantastic.
Okay. I got to go sing now. Talk to you later.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
You bet, Noah. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.